Hello everyone, enjoy these relaxing moments while you watch.
The millionaire wants her employee to give up the baby, but she does something that makes her furious. Luna is one of the staff members at the luxurious mansion of the Carmen family, the residence of the city's wealthiest family. This place is not only renowned for its extravagance but also for its strict rules. There is one unbreakable rule: no staff member is allowed to be pregnant, or else they will lose their job. Luna is well aware of the harshness of this rule and tries to conceal her pregnancy. However, as the months go by, her belly begins to show, making it increasingly difficult to hide the truth. One day, while working in the mansion's beautiful gardens, Carmen calls her in for a private conversation. The concern on the wealthy businesswoman's face suggests that she has noticed something unusual. Carmen begins speaking in an authoritative tone, tinged with a hint of disappointment. "I need to know the truth, are you really pregnant?" With a lump in her throat and her heart pounding, Luna nods, confirming her suspicion. Carmen's expression immediately shifts to a mix of horror and disappointment. She shakes her head, trying to absorb the news. After a tense silence, she hands Luna a significant amount of money. "Use this money to get an abortion," she says, her voice firm and cold. "I don't want you to face further trouble over this matter." Luna looks at the money, feeling the weight of the offer and the impact of her decision. With clear determination, she declines the offer. "I want to keep the baby," she replies with a voice full of conviction and courage. Carmen frowns, her face growing harder. "If you refuse the abortion, you will no longer have a place in this house," she declares coldly. "You have 1 week to decide. If you choose to keep the baby, you will have to leave the mansion and lose your job." The ultimatum is unavoidable. Luna stands at an important crossroads, between the stability of her job and the life of the child she is expecting. The tension is palpable, almost tangible, as Carmen observes Luna, awaiting the answer that will decide her and her unborn child's fate. Luna is facing a monumental decision she has to make within a month, and the pressure in her chest becomes overwhelming. At first, she tries to maintain a calm exterior, masking her growing anxiety behind forced smiles and a seemingly determined posture. However, as the days go by, the pressure begins to wear her down, and her worry intensifies. She endures sleepless nights, pondering her desperate situation, searching for an escape that does not involve giving up her child. 2 weeks after Carmen's ultimatum, the relationship between the two deteriorates quickly. The wealthy businesswoman becomes increasingly disappointed with Luna's resistance, growing stricter and more disdainful. She is determined to make Luna confront the harsh reality of the situation she finds herself in. In a formal meeting, Carmen looks at her with a near-merciless coldness, her words filled with contempt and warning. Luna starts with a decisive tone. "You must understand that you are not in a position to raise a child alone. You have no support network, your finances are extremely precarious, and you know that as well as I do." Luna, though trying to stand firm, feels Carmen's words cut through like daggers, eroding her confidence. Carmen continues without a hint of empathy. "Furthermore, the baby's father is not here. You are completely alone in this. If you continue with the pregnancy, you will have to face the harsh reality of living without a home, with no money to support yourself, let alone a newborn." Each word is a blow, slowly weakening Luna's resolve, leaving her adrift emotionally as she struggles to hold on to her beliefs. Luna knows Carmen is trying to break her spirit, to make an uncertain future seem even more daunting. The mansion, which was once a symbol of stability and security, has now become a place of humiliation and relentless psychological pressure. Every day, she feels more pressured and isolated, and decides to seek support from her fellow workers, who share her joys and sorrows in this house. With the weight of her decision pressing on her heart, she knows she needs to talk to someone to relieve her emotional burden. The other workers in the mansion are the only source of comfort she has amid the increasing chaos. "Luna, are you okay? You look so tired," Maria, one of her closest colleagues, asks with a voice full of concern and care. "We want to help you." What's going on? With glistening tears in her eyes, Luna begins to open up about her worries, detailing Carmen's ultimatum, the offer of money for an abortion, and the immense psychological pressure she feels. Her friends listen intently, some with their hands clasped tightly, others with looks of surprise and sympathy. This is the first time she has fully shared the desperate situation she is facing. As Luna shares her fears, the tension inside her begins to ease a bit, her words soaked with fear and insecurity receiving supportive responses from her friends. They encourage her to keep fighting and promise to support her in any way they can. Amid the comforting words and hugs that soothe her weary spirit, Sarah, one of Luna's closest friends, raises a question that had crossed everyone's mind but that no one had dared to voice until now. Luna, who is the baby's father? The question, though posed carefully, pierces Luna's vulnerability like a sharp knife. Instantly, her expression changes, her eyes once filled with despair now brimming with uncontrollable tears. Unable to answer, Luna is overwhelmed by a surge of pain and shame. With choked sobs, she begins to weep, tears streaming down her face, each tear representing a mix of sadness, shame, and fear building up inside her. Her friends, seeing her level of distress, do not hesitate to come forward to comfort her, surrounding her with warm embraces, offering words of support and understanding without requiring her to answer. Sarah's question would remain unanswered for now, but the empathy and solace Luna received were clear and sincere. After a few moments of silence, Sarah, with a determined and purposeful look, came up with a plan. She stepped back for a moment to ponder, then returned with a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Luna, Sarah began with a voice full of newfound energy. I thought of something that could help you. I have a house in the city, a small apartment that's currently unoccupied. If you decide to keep the baby and leave the mansion, you can stay there. You don't have to worry about living on the streets. Luna looked up, still with tears in her eyes but with a glimmer of hope. Sarah's offer felt like a beacon at the end of a dark tunnel, a chance to find some stability in the chaos. She held Sarah's hand tightly, feeling deep gratitude for her generosity. Sarah continued with an encouraging smile. Besides, remember that you could receive legal support. You could seek help from the law to demand child support from the baby's father. You're not alone in this, and that could help you manage the upcoming expenses. The offer made Luna look at Sarah with newfound hope, seeing a possibility to face the future more securely. But Sarah didn't stop there. And if you need a lawyer, my eldest son, Ivan, can help you. He's a lawyer and can provide the legal guidance you need to ensure you have the necessary support to protect your rights, Sarah added with an encouraging smile. Sarah's words filled Luna with a new sense of hope and gratitude. That night, as Carmen's mansion lay silent, lit only by the dim hallway lights, Luna made a decision that would change her life forever. She sat down and wrote a short but meaningful letter to express her final decision. With trembling hands, she carefully wrote, I have chosen my child. Goodbye. She left the note on Carmen's desk as a farewell gesture and a statement of her resolute choice. With her heart tight with worry and determination, Luna gathered her few belongings, a couple of outfits, a small box of personal items, and a pair of worn shoes. She walked down the stairs carefully, avoiding any noise that might wake Carmen or the other staff. As she stepped through the back door, she felt a blend of relief and fear. It was the beginning of a new life, far from the privileges and restraints of the mansion. She arrived at Sarah's apartment early in the morning. The old building with its time-worn facade gave her a sense of refuge. Just having a roof over her head was a huge comfort for Luna. Though Sarah's apartment was modest, with aged furniture and simple decorations, it provided a safe environment. There was a dining table with old wooden chairs, a small bed, and a bookshelf full of books and antiques. It wasn't luxurious, but for Luna, it was a haven, a place where she could start anew. Being free from Carmen's daily humiliations brought Luna a sense of peace. However, that peace did not last long. The very next day after she left, Carmen launched a relentless attack on Luna. She sent thousands of messages, each filled with insults and cruelty, aimed at breaking her spirit. The calls were non-stop, each ring a painful reminder of the oppressive world she had left behind. Yet, with her newfound resolve, Luna ignored all attempts to reach her. She neither answered the calls nor responded to the messages, focusing solely on her child's safety and future. She decided to cut ties with Carmen's family decisively, prepared to face the consequences. The following months passed slowly in the small apartment. Each day was a new challenge, but Luna held on to Sarah's unwavering support and the promise of a better future. She faced each day with resilience, handling her pregnancy and the increasing demands on her body with all the strength she could muster. Finally, the day of her child's birth arrived. Luna went to the hospital, filled with a mixture of anticipation and anxiety. Her labor was long and painful, but at last, she gave birth to a healthy baby boy weighing 8.6 pounds. Hearing her child's first cry, Luna felt a wave of love and fulfillment that washed away all the suffering she had endured. As she looked at the tiny being she had fought to protect, she knew she had made the right choice. A few days after the birth, as Luna adjusted to her new routine with her newborn and life in Sarah's modest apartment, Sarah's eldest son, Ivan, decided to visit her. He had been a constant figure in discussions about Luna's situation and was eager to offer his promised help. Ivan arrived at the apartment with an encouraging smile, carrying a folder full of documents and notes. His enthusiasm was evident as he prepared to explain to Luna the necessary steps to receive financial support for her child. "Luna, congratulations on the birth of your baby," Ivan said as he entered the apartment. He greeted her with a warm hug and a sympathetic gaze. "I'm here to help you ensure that you and your child receive the support you deserve." Luna, though still tired, was comforted by his visit and smiled at Ivan. "Thank you so much, Ivan. I really appreciate it," she responded gratefully. Ivan sat down at the small kitchen table and began to outline the legal procedures needed to request child support. He explained how they could file a lawsuit against the baby's father and how Luna could receive financial assistance to cover the child's expenses. "First, we need to gather some information and fill out the necessary paperwork. You'll have to provide details about the baby's father so we can start the process," Ivan explained patiently, ensuring Luna understood each step. Then, with a serious and slightly anxious expression, Ivan posed the crucial question. "To secure your rights to financial support, I need to know the baby's father's name." Luna hesitated for a moment, the weight of revealing it evident on her face as she prepared to speak. She took a deep breath, and with a mix of sadness and reluctance, she finally confessed. "The baby's father is Max, Carmen's husband." Ivan was stunned, the shock clear on his face, and he immediately understood why Luna had avoided sharing this information earlier. Max wasn't just a powerful public figure, his influence could greatly complicate Luna's situation. Knowing this detail completely changed Ivan's perspective on the case, shedding light on why Luna had faced so many challenges in seeking help. After a brief silence, Ivan, with a look of both concern and compassion, asked a sensitive but necessary question. "Luna, was that relationship consensual on your part? I mean, was it something you wanted?" he asked in a serious and understanding tone. Luna's response came without delay, her eyes showing traces of regret. "Yes, it was a consensual relationship. I entered into it because I wanted it at the time, but now looking back, I deeply regret that decision," she admitted, clarifying the internal conflict she felt. Ivan nodded slowly, fully aware of the complexity and emotional layers of the situation. Luna's connection with Max wasn't simple, and the circumstances surrounding it involved a web of emotions and choices she now had to confront. Luna's disclosure helped Ivan better understand the challenges she faced, reshaping his perspective on the case. "I understand, Luna. We'll proceed with the process and do what's necessary to ensure that you and your child receive the support you deserve," Ivan affirmed with determination and compassion. "You're not alone in this, and we'll do everything we can to ensure that your rights are respected." With a new clear goal, Ivan committed to helping Luna and her child secure the necessary support. He meticulously prepared the paperwork to initiate the request for child support. Each document and piece of evidence was carefully reviewed, strengthening his resolve. After finalizing the paperwork, Ivan began the legal process to formally notify Max of the claim. On a quiet afternoon, Carmen returned home after a long day of work, eager to relax in her luxurious mansion, completely unaware of the storm that was coming. The atmosphere in the mansion was calm and silent when one of her staff entered Carmen's office holding an official letter. "Madam, this letter is addressed to Mr. Max, but since he's currently on a business trip abroad with no set return date, I thought I'd deliver it to you." She handed over the envelope with careful gestures. Carmen, unsuspecting of the letter's contents, accepted it with little interest. With a careless motion, she tore the seal and opened the envelope, expecting nothing out of the ordinary from the revelation she was about to discover. The words in the letter unfolded before Carmen's eyes, revealing a formal request for child support initiated by Luna. As she saw her husband's name listed as the father of the child, Carmen's anger erupted instantly, like a volcano. Understanding the gravity of the document and realizing that Luna dared to initiate such a thing against her husband, Carmen's rage reached unprecedented heights. Her usually calm and controlled face was now contorted into a mask of fury and resentment. With a furious roar, she sprang to her feet, throwing objects around in uncontrollable wrath. Furniture toppled to the floor, papers and documents scattered throughout the lavish mansion, now transformed into a scene of utter chaos. Shocked by the destructive scene and Carmen's frenzied screams, the staff looked at one another with fear and confusion. The work environment had turned into a place of tension and panic, with everyone wondering what had sparked this furious outburst. Unable to contain her anger, Carmen immediately called Luna. The phone rang incessantly, with each ring seeming to intensify her rage until, suddenly, Luna answered. Her voice was calm and composed, a stark contrast to Carmen's fury. "Luna!" Carmen shouted, her voice filled with contempt and anger. "How dare you do this, you foolish employee?" Luna maintained her calm under pressure, responding with challenging composure. "Madam Carmen, I'm sorry, but what's done is done. Now, I just want support to raise my child. I won't trouble your family any further," she stated, her voice firm and unwavering. Carmen, engulfed in total disbelief, was speechless for a moment. The call had started to chip away at her mask of control, and the anger she felt was now mingled with a profound sense of despair. The situation was unfolding in a way she could no longer control. "This child can't be my husband's," Carmen declared with a voice full of anger and denial. "I'll never believe it." She began hurling a barrage of accusations at Luna, filled with venom and brimming with hatred. "You must be lying. Surely, you've been involved with other men." "I can't believe this child is my husband's," Carmen threw out, her voice laden with disbelief and denial. Yet, Luna held her ground, clear and determined, responding with unshakable resolve. "How could I be involved with other men when I spent most of my time working in your mansion and directly tending to Mr. Max without even the freedom to leave? It's impossible. If you have doubts, propose a DNA test, and we'll see the truth." Luna's suggestion of a DNA test struck Carmen directly, and she began to feel increasingly unsettled. She recalled numerous occasions when her husband, Max, had been personally served meals by Luna and had his office arranged by her, realizing that there was indeed a strong possibility the child was truly Max's. This thought haunted her, intensifying her fear and insecurity. However, Carmen's greatest fear was not only the possibility that the child truly was her husband's. The real terror for her was the public impact this situation might have. As a prominent figure in the city, her image was carefully protected. The potential of this situation becoming a major scandal was frightening. The idea that news of this might spread through the media, tarnishing her reputation, was a prospect she couldn't bear. Carmen attempted to maintain an appearance of control, though her voice betrayed a hidden panic. "Do you think you can simply settle this with a DNA test?" she said, attempting to mask her fear behind a facade of authority. "You must know that if this becomes public, not only you but also your child will become the target of a scandal, and I will do whatever is necessary to ensure that doesn't happen." Luna listened to the threats with an unshaken calm, her position unchanged in the face of Carmen's warnings. "I'm not afraid of your threats. I only want my child to receive what's fair. If a DNA test is to prove paternity and secure what's right, then let's do it. I'm ready to face it," she replied with a voice full of certainty and determination. As the call abruptly ended, Carmen was left alone in her office, trapped in a storm of conflicting emotions. Reality was unfolding mercilessly, and the fear of an impending scandal grew more intense with each passing minute. Desperately searching for a solution to avoid public disaster, the pressure of the situation weighed heavily on her, heightening her anxiety and leaving her with no clear option to regain control over her life. A few days after her confrontation with Luna, the DNA test was conducted. Although the collection and analysis process went swiftly, the repercussions of the results spread quickly throughout the city. In no time, newspaper headlines, tabloid sites, and news channels were filled with stories about the scandal involving Mr. Max and his employee. The entire city was in shock, and Carmen stood at the center of a media storm threatening to destroy her reputation and everything she had achieved. Consumed by despair and anger, Carmen blamed Luna for every aspect of the situation. The scandal was not only a threat to her public image but also a deep wound in her career and personal life. On the scheduled morning to receive the DNA test results, Carmen was filled with tension, every second seemingly stretching her patience to the limit. As they arrived at the clinic, the air was thick with anticipation and resentment. Carmen looked at Luna, who was holding the baby in her arms, with a look of utter disdain. "Why didn't you abort this child? Look at the scandal you've caused my family," she exclaimed, her voice a mixture of anger and reproach. Luna, undeterred, responded with a calmness that contrasted Carmen's agitation. "My child is not at fault for the mistakes your husband and I made. He deserves to be treated with dignity," she asserted with determination. The DNA test confirmed that the child was indeed Max's. While this confirmation was a painful blow to Carmen's pride, she was not surprised. Deep down, she had always suspected the child might be her husband's. Although the emotional impact was tremendous, she managed to maintain an appearance of calm and restraint. With a cold gesture, Carmen avoided looking at the child, instead giving Luna a detached directive. "Proceed with the arrangements." Her words were drenched in contempt and indifference, only heightening the sense of abandonment and insecurity Luna was experiencing. As they left the clinic, they were surrounded by a crowd of eager reporters, microphones and cameras ready to capture every detail. Sharp and probing questions flew, each one intensifying the scandal that was reaching its peak. "Is it true that this child is indeed your husband's, Mrs. Carmen?" a female reporter asked, her eyes full of scrutiny and challenge. "Did Mr. Max engage in a relationship with his employee?" another journalist inquired, eyes wide with shock and curiosity. Carmen, feeling defeated and aware of the gravity of the situation, chose to remain silent. She walked away with determination, ignoring the questions that irritated her, leaving the media storm to swirl around her. Meanwhile, Luna, holding her baby with resolve, faced the media with a look of strength and determination. "Yes," she confirmed clearly and without hesitation. "Mr. Max is the father of the child." With this statement, Luna not only challenged the media but also defied public judgment, showing a calm courage that stood in stark contrast to Carmen's defeated silence. The scene was a display of conflicting emotions, with Carmen walking away in silence, caught in a whirlpool of shame and anger engulfing her. The situation had escalated to a level beyond anyone's control, and the consequences of past decisions were now being publicly exposed, threatening to destroy their lives and reputations. Things grew worse for Carmen as Luna, displaying an unwavering determination to ensure her child would have a decent life, filed an official lawsuit, requesting 20% of Mr. Max's monthly income as child support. Luna's lawsuit wasn't only about monetary value, it was a way to ensure her child received the necessary support to grow up in a stable and safe environment. Carmen, struggling to cope with the public fallout of the scandal and the relentless pressure, grew furious at Luna's demands. She felt as if she were under attack from all sides and accused Luna of trying to take everything from her. "You're trying to destroy my family," she screamed during a heated argument with Luna. "You're trying to take everything that belongs to me." Luna, for her part, did not back down in the face of Carmen's accusations. She maintained her firm stance and added a new request to her lawsuit: a place to live. "I have nowhere to live," she explained with unshaken calm. "I need a suitable place for myself and my child. I can't survive without a roof over my head." This request added another layer of complexity to an already tense situation, as despite her husband being a wealthy businessman, Carmen appeared reluctant to provide a reasonable amount for Luna and her child. What should have been a matter resolved quickly turned into a prolonged legal battle. The case was brought before a judge who carefully examined the situation and the evidence presented by both sides. After thorough consideration, the judge ruled that Mr. Max must provide Luna with a suitable apartment and pay monthly support equal to 20% of his income. The decision was clear, leaving no room for debate or appeal. On the day the decision was officially announced, Mrs. Carmen met with Luna for one final conversation. Disappointment and resentment were evident on her face as she tried to process the impact of what had become a series of devastating events for her personal and professional life. "I'll take care of everyone who has smeared my honor," Carmen declared, her voice laced with bitterness and contempt with every word she uttered. "All of them will have to disappear." These words revealed not only her hatred for Luna and the child but also a profound sense of betrayal. It was as if this child symbolized all that she had lost and all that she could not control. Carmen was trapped in a vortex of emotions that overwhelmed her. Luna, holding her baby, listened to Carmen's words with an expressionless face, fully aware that although she had won the legal battle, the emotional cost was enormous. She knew she had to move on and focus her energy on her child's future. With determination, she moved into the apartment that Carmen's family was forced to provide her. Although it was a modest space, for Luna, it was a new opportunity in life, a shelter where she and her child could start anew. The first monthly child support payment arrived. Luna used it carefully to ensure her child had everything needed to grow up in a safe environment. She bought new clothes, basic furniture, and essentials for the baby, feeling a sense of relief and satisfaction at being able to provide a better environment for her child. However, while Luna was building a new life for her family, Carmen could not escape the haunting feelings of failure and humiliation. Unable to accept the reality of the situation, Carmen let anger and resentment completely consume her. She saw herself as a failure and, in her desperation, began searching for extreme ways to regain control over her life. In a ruthless and desperate act, she contacted members of local gangs, offering large sums of money for them to kill Luna and her child. Carmen had sunk so deeply into despair and humiliation that she was willing to do anything to control the scandal and the sense of loss of control she was experiencing. Carmen took every precaution necessary to ensure her actions remained a secret. With cold calculation, she used intermediaries so that her transactions and communications wouldn't raise suspicion, ensuring no trace could connect her to her cruel plan. Choosing violence as a way to resolve her inner crisis painted a dark picture of her inability to face reality. In her distorted mind, this was the only way out, a desperate solution to her escalating despair and humiliation. Meanwhile, Luna, completely unaware of the impending threat, focused on building a stable life for her child, savoring every peaceful moment that her new apartment offered. The new life she had started was a refuge from past chaos, a chance to begin again. Yet, unknown to her, a deadly threat was brewing, fueled by the desperation and loss of humanity in a woman obsessed with her lost reputation. On a cold and quiet night, Luna was at home with her child, enjoying the peace the apartment brought. The air was still, and the occasional sound of a car passing on the street was the only disruption in her small haven. However, This peace was suddenly shattered by a series of loud and menacing knocks on the front door, shaking her sense of security. With her heart pounding and body trembling with fear, Luna approached the door. Through a small crack, she saw two men dressed entirely in black. Their intimidating appearance combined with their ruthless demeanor instantly terrified her. One of the men, with a hoarse, icy voice, declared that she would have to go with them immediately. Despair gripped Luna as she began crying uncontrollably, pleading with them not to harm her child. "Please, don't hurt my child," she begged, her words interrupted by sobs. The fear of losing what she held most dear was written across her face, and her pleas reflected the desperation and bravery of a mother willing to do anything to protect her child. What Luna hadn't expected was that Max had secretly contacted Ivan, the son of a close colleague, Sarah, to assist her with legal proceedings. He had foreseen the possibility of an attack. Aware of Carmen's vengeful tactics, he secretly installed a listening device in Luna's new apartment, prepared for the worst. Max knew that with her wealth and power, Carmen could resort to extreme measures to solve her problems. As the scene unfolded in Luna's apartment, the listening device captured every word and movement of the men. With his headphones on, Max quickly grasped the gravity of the situation and realized the threat facing Luna and her child. Recognizing that these men were sent by Carmen in a desperate attempt to erase her own failures, Max acted precisely and efficiently. Without delay, Max contacted the police, informing them of the impending abduction and providing crucial details about the situation. He also sent them recordings from the listening device as clear evidence of the men's criminal intent. Armed with this critical information, the police swiftly reviewed footage from nearby surveillance cameras. A visible license plate in one of the images revealed the identity of the vehicle used by the men. Thanks to Max's cooperation and the swift actions of law enforcement, the kidnappers' exact location was pinpointed in record time. The police launched an emergency rescue mission, coordinating carefully to ensure Luna and her child's safety. When the authorities arrived at the location Max had identified, the scene was bleak and tense, but the operation had been meticulously planned and executed swiftly. The intervention was precise and effective, ensuring that Luna and her child were rescued before any harm could come to them. Officers raided the abandoned warehouse where Luna was held, prepared to face any threat. The warehouse was a scene of darkness and disarray, with boxes and debris scattered everywhere, casting ominous shadows in the dim light filtering through broken windows. The loud bang of doors being thrown open and the commanding voices of the police echoed in the empty space, but the true horror only emerged when they entered one of the dark rooms in the warehouse. Luna was bound with thick ropes, her hands and feet tied, while tears mixed with the sweat of fear on her face. Nearby, her child lay on the floor wrapped in a filthy blanket, the heart-wrenching cries of the child piercing the tense silence. Though in a desperate state, Luna had tried to shield her child with what little strength she had left, praying that help would arrive in time. When the police stormed in, the gang members responded violently, drawing guns and firing wildly at the officers, sparking a fierce gunfight inside the warehouse. Bullets ricocheted off walls and boxes, creating a chaotic and dangerous atmosphere in plain sight. The police, trained to handle extreme situations, moved precisely to neutralize the threat, facing the criminals with courage and unwavering determination. The scene was alarming enough, but what made it all the more shocking was the discovery of Carmen's presence amid the chaos. At the far end of the warehouse, hidden in the shadows, Carmen observed the scene with an icy detachment, her face showing an inhumane expression. The wealthiest businesswoman in the city, a figure supposedly representing power and benevolence, was now deeply enmeshed in an unimaginably cruel act. Carmen had positioned herself carefully and distantly, armed and ready to witness the intended demise of Luna and her baby at her own hands. The idea that she was involved to the extent of participating in an assassination attempt was shocking to everyone who witnessed this scene. Carmen's presence at the crime scene was terrifying evidence of the desperation and moral decline she had reached in her attempt to escape the consequences of her actions. Realizing her presence, the police intensified their efforts, determined to arrest everyone involved. The standoff grew even tenser as the officers acted with renewed determination. Eventually, the police gained control of the situation, securing the warehouse. Surrounded and with no escape, Carmen was arrested along with the gang members she had hired. The gunfight concluded with the criminals' capture and ensured Luna and her child's safety. Luna, still bound and in shock, was immediately freed by the authorities and taken to safety. The child, an innocent witness to all the horror, was carefully lifted from the floor and placed in their mother's arms. Luna embraced her child with overwhelming relief, her tears reflecting the chaotic emotions she had endured. The operation succeeded in rescuing Luna and her child, but the consequences of this event were profound and long-lasting. Carmen's scandal, now graver than ever, took a new turn with the revelation of her plan to eliminate Luna and the innocent child. The entire city was in shock, and the situation had exposed the true face of a woman once seen as a symbol of power and wealth. After the successful operation to rescue Luna and her child, Carmen faced legal consequences for her horrific actions. She was arrested and sentenced to 35 years in prison, a punishment reflecting the severity of her crimes, a devastating blow for someone who had once achieved such power and prestige. News of the scandal and her downfall dominated the city's headlines and broadcasts, becoming the main topic of conversation everywhere. While Carmen faced public scorn and contempt, Luna and her child received widespread support from across the city. The strength and bravery Luna had shown in the face of this situation were widely recognized and praised. Her story became an inspiration to many, with the media constantly highlighting her resilience in overcoming adversity with unshakable determination. Luna, immensely grateful for the support she received, especially from Max, felt as though she was living in a movie. It turned out that Max had never abandoned her. His silence and absence all this time had been a meticulously calculated plan to protect her and their child. She realized that without Max's timely and courageous intervention, she might not have survived that horrific experience. Max, who had secretly installed a listening device to ensure the safety of Luna and their child, had always been by her side. Then, he appeared, rushing to embrace Luna and the child tightly, sighing in relief upon seeing that they were safe, feeling satisfied that everything had turned out well. That night, Max confided in Luna, sharing the immense pressure he had endured living with an incredibly cruel wife for so many years. Carmen cared only for her reputation, even to the point of once plotting to kill her husband. That was why, without even realizing it, Max had fallen in love with Luna. He promised Luna that he would finalize a divorce from Carmen within a few days. Over the years, Max proudly embraced the role of a father. Under his and Luna's care, Tom grew up in an environment filled with love and safety, developing into a strong, intelligent, and determined young man. From a young age, Tom showed a profound interest in law, inspired by the events that had marked his life and the courage of his parents. At 18, Tom decided to pursue a law degree, with the goal of entering politics. In college, he quickly distinguished himself, earning the respect and admiration of his professors and classmates for his relentless dedication and skills. His desire to make a difference drove him toward a career in public service, committed to bringing about positive change. As time went on, Tom gained experience and assumed increasingly responsible positions. At 27, he achieved a historic milestone by becoming the most accomplished young attorney in the country's history. His rise to power was closely followed with admiration from the entire city, and the day he was elected was widely celebrated and covered by the media. On election night, Carmen, now an elderly and lonely woman, watched the events broadcast from prison, feeling like an outsider to the world beyond. Seeing the young lawyer assume office, she began to wonder who this new charismatic leader was, attracting so much attention. When her eyes fell on Luna standing beside him, the truth struck her with unexpected cruelty. Her husband's son, Tom, had risen to a high position, leaving a positive mark on the community. In his inaugural speech, Tom declared with resolve, "I will honor my role and protect our entire city with all my love and self-respect." Those words echoed in Carmen's prison cell, each syllable piercing her heart with the cold reality of her own failures. Tom ended his speech with a personal note that deepened Carmen's pain. "This is how my parents, Luna and Max, raised me." In that moment, Carmen grasped the full extent of her own downfall and the bitter irony of it all. Carmen's collapse was a powerful reminder of the consequences of decisions driven by desperation and greed. Ultimately, the story underscores the light of hope found in justice and love.
If you enjoyed this story, we invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to keep bringing heartwarming stories almost every day. We are very grateful for your support. See you soon.